Jeffrey is a nice guy. He's not nice, but he's a nice guy. That's a term used for weak men like Jeffrey who think that being nice to a girl is the way into her pants. Tough luck, Jeffrey, it's gonna take more than that. Adonis is a nice guy, but not with those quotes. He's a gentleman, he's loving, and he's supportive. Now, this does not mean that Adonis is a pushover. No, far from it. He is a dominant masculine man. But he is also nice and loving to those that deserve it. This is the best way to be as a man. I took my brother's advice when I was speaking to this girl once. I had been on not just one date, not 2 dates, but 3 dates without even hugging her. I was so awkward around her, I didn't know how to act, but she was this cute girl from my school. I had a major crush on her even though we hadn't even kissed yet. And then eventually, she just starts rejecting me. I ask her to go on another date, and then she says, yes, let's go. But when the day of the date pulls around, she cancels. But then she reschedules. But then on the next rescheduled day, she cancels again. And it kept on happening till eventually I could tell, okay, she's just not interested. Months go by and we haven't spoke. And then I get invited to a party at university. And I'm sat with my brother one day and he gives me a great idea that I should invite her to the party with me. The problem is we haven't spoke for like 2, 3, 4 months. So he's sat on the couch, I'm sat on the floor next to the couch, like looking up at the wise mentor. And we construct this message to send her. Like, hey, I know it's been a while, but I'm going to like this party and you're the only one that I want to go with. Do you want to go with me? It'll be really nice if you go with me to the party. And then she replies and she goes, ha ha ha, this has got to be a joke. So we double down. Oh no, it's not a joke, you're the only one. I know it's been a few months, but I've been thinking about you all this time. I had such a big crush on you. I think you're really cute. All this time I really like you. And again she writes, ha 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 ha, this has got to be one of your friends. So at this point, we take the L, mission failed, we'll get him next time. And I just send her one of those pussy, like, safe messages, like, yeah, it was just my friend who took my phone, haha. So this is what you do to avoid a situation like that. Don't be an asshole, but don't be a nice guy. We don't want to be one of these nice guys, like probably how we've been when we were younger, like the softer, more feminine type of guy who doesn't get the girl. And we also don't want to be like the total asshole, because chances are if you're watching this, that's not really authentic to you. You are actually like a pretty kind person. We want to be somewhere in the middle. And that's where Adonis is at. Adonis is the ultimate man, the best version of us that we aspire to become through self-improvements. You'll become like Adonis when you stop being a pushover to girls, like changing yourself so much just to try and attract this one girl and being inauthentic to yourself. But also, Adonis is not a nice guy, like the type of guy who almost fakes being nice to try to attract the girl. He'll just be himself, and of course himself is after years of self-improvement, so he's actually like attractive and confident now. But that being said, a lot of guys, when they're starting off as the nice guy, they go too far on the other side and they become like really angry assholes and bitter, and that's not what Adonis is like either. What's interesting is he isn't a complete pushover nice guy. He still respects himself. He won't sit around with people who are disrespecting him. He knows where he's wanted and where he's not wanted, and he'll leave those situations if he feels like he's not valued here. But he can also be disagreeable. Like, can you imagine disagreeing with a girl? She says that she likes something and you say to her, no, I don't like that. A lot of guys, they'd be like, well, I could not imagine that. If the girl says she likes something, they'd say, yeah, me too, even though they don't give a shit. If the girl says, oh, this is like my music type, and she sends him like a song and he doesn't like it at all, he'd be like, oh my god, that's fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. You'll become like Adonis when you just act brutally honest with girls, which is actually more attractive to them. Too many young guys, probably like yourself, put women on a pedestal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with caring about your dating life and being into a girl and being in love with a girl, but so many young guys put a woman higher than she actually deserves to be, even if she's like a bit of a loser. Look, you're a guy on self-improvement. You're getting away from the bad habits, you're getting onto the good habits. You should meet a girl who's like this, but chances are you're only meeting girls who aren't on self-improvement. They're just vaping and scrolling and consuming. They're basically like the female version of Jeffrey, like Jessica's. And so many young guys will meet a girl like that who literally has like a 6-hour, 8-hour screen time, and you'll be acting like she's like this really like hot, high status kind of girl. No, that's completely inauthentic, and people can smell when you're trying to like flatter them. And this is why the same girl that you've been sort of hyping up and you've been complimenting all the time, she's really not into you, and she's into the guy who doesn't doesn't do any of that. So many guys will see a girl like this and think, oh, well, she's a princess. She's an 11 out of 10. That specific thing, bro. Whenever a guy says to me like, oh, there's this girl, she's an 11 out of 10, I always know she's like a 4.5. And this guy's just got like one itis. He's just blue pill as hell and he's just focused directly on this one girl because she's the only one who's texting him back right now. I'm going to tell you the truth that a lot of people won't talk about, but it is true. Some women don't deserve your respect. Some men don't either. In fact, I actually think most women, most men don't deserve your respect. Like most people don't even exercise or go to bed on time or do like even some of the fundamental parts of being a happy, healthy human. Stop putting Jessicas on a pedestal just because they are female. Some people just don't deserve your nice side. They'll even view you lower if you show them like, you know, you're being nice and kind to them. And you might be wondering, but wait, Hamza, I am actually quite a nice guy. Is that actually a problem? No, look, this is very, very specific. Being nice, like being a kind person, is very important. In fact, I wouldn't even want to speak to you if you weren't a nice, kind person. I don't want you to watch this video and think you need to become like this weird kind of stuck up kind of guy, because then you'll just have no friends, and if I ever met you in person, I'd just cringe, right? You want to still be a nice, happy person. You just don't want to be a nice guy. The quote is like, it's a specific term. It doesn't just mean nice. It's a phrase meaning for the guy who's basically faking the niceness to hopefully get people, mostly girls, to like him back. How do you stop being a nice guy? You need exposure to guys who are seductive, attractive, and actually good with girls. Chances are almost every guy you know is a nice guy. And if you ever see them navigate their dating life, you'll probably start to pick up some of their traits. And then this gets even worse with Hollywood movies and TV shows where you see like the little beta male, little weak guy, Jeffrey, and he's so nice to the girl and eventually he gets her. Whoa, but that's not how real life works. You need to see how more masculine men interact with women, because you'll see them be gentlemen. You'll see them open the door and pay for the bill and hold her arm. You'll see them protect her, but you won't see them just being complete pushovers. You won't see them just fake laughing at her jokes. Sometimes you'll see like some of these guys who are good with girls. The girl will make a joke and she'll kind of laugh, and the guy won't laugh. He won't give her a fake laugh. He's just being himself, and he understands that if he's just completely honest, some girls won't like him, some girls will. And the girls who like him, they're the ones who are actually compatible with the real him. He has no insecurity needing to fake niceness or being inauthentic to try and attract the girl. I see so many guys go through this transition, and it seems that quite a lot of guys, I know this is going to sound really dark, it seems like quite a lot of guys need to go from nice guy to complete asshole first, where they start being really bitter and hating towards women, and oh yeah, I can't believe all these girls just want like the, you know, the aggressive guy. They all want like the gangster. I was so nice to them and they didn't want me, whatever. A lot of guys end up there, and then they slowly start to understand women and understand they're not bad people for what they're attracted to, and then they get to the healthy middle. If you can just go to the healthy middle right away, perfect. But I do see a lot of guys first jump over to the anger stage and then slowly calm down into like the middle sort of Adonis stage. And I had to go through that transformation myself. Like when I was 17 years old and I first kind of discovered that like girls don't really like the overly nice guy, and they kind of like guys who are kind of like assholes towards them. I jumped way over to that side and I became more like an asshole. I became more like a bit of like a hateful, almost like bitter person. Think about how interesting this is, because almost no one else would actually tell you the truth, right? I'm basically telling you that I hated girls for like some time when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old, because I just didn't understand them. I hated that I was sold this idea that they were like the same like men. They were logical, rational, that they would budget out pussy for how nice you were. This is what like has basically sold to you in like movies and, you know, the sort of good boy Bible of the world. Maybe even what your parents will say, maybe what girls even tell you themselves. They say they wanted a guy who's nice, whatever. And when I actually started to become like more of like a bad boy, you know, I was like 18 years old and I was like being a bit more like sort of aggressive, and I saw how many more girls were into me, like 0 to 100 straight away. I had like this feeling of like anger towards women and towards the world, because I felt like I had been lied to. And for years, you know, I struggled in my dating life and I felt like shit because of that. And so I had to go through this period myself. And I'm telling you this because it's a bit sort of embarrassing for me to like just admit to you, like I had to be like a bit of a bad person. But I'm telling you this because I know for a fact there's going to be some guys watching this who can relate to this, and it'll calm them down to think like, oh shit, like this happened to Hamza and he seems so like happy, healthy, and balanced. You can probably, hopefully you can tell, I'm not a complete pushover little pussy, but I'm also not like a fucking absolute asshole towards people who don't deserve it. Some people do and they can fucking get fucked, fine. I'm never going to tell you to be like a complete pushover, but I really feel like I've got to the healthy middle right now, and this is where I want you to get to as well. And so maybe you're one of the guys that needs to step into that a bit more of this sort of like angry mode, thinking like, yeah, fuck this, like, you know, I've been so nice all this entire time. I've been like texting and taking an interest in her all this time. Everyone's told me like, okay, take an interest in her hobbies. I've been doing it. That girls still don't like me. And now I'm realizing that if I become a bit more of like an asshole, a bad boy, that girls will be nicer to me. I was sold this fucking lie this entire time. Sometimes you need a bit of this sort of aggression, and this is what brings out like the man inside of the boy. And I don't want you to stay this way. And I also don't want you to use this aggression on people. Don't do anything that's going to hurt someone. But sometimes just within yourself, it's quite important to kind of like get into that angry mode and think, you know what? For years I've been trying to date. For years I've wanted to have sex and I've not been able to. It's because I've been following the advice of everyone else. And now when I watch like this video from Hamza, I know for a fact this is true because the guys I know who are fucking are all like the guy that Hamza's talking about. You need a bit of this sort of like hatred towards the world for a second and then start to calm down. Start to step into more of like a grounded, more balanced masculinity where you stop hating girls for this and you realize, you know what? I was just told lies about them. And when girls say what they want, of course they're gonna say like socially desirable answers. Of course they're gonna say to you like, yeah, I want a nice guy. Because they're not gonna say like, oh yeah, I want a guy who slaps me in the face when we're having sex. Like a lot of girls aren't gonna just be completely honest to you or on the internet. And so they're just gonna say things which are quite like normal, whatever. And they're gonna think about the last guy that they dated or that they were really obsessed with. You know, the sort of bad boy guy that like fucked them a few times and then left. And they're gonna think about him and say like, yeah, I just want a guy to be nice to me. They want that guy, the Adonis, like the Chad guy, to be nice to them. They don't want just a complete loser to be nice to them. Just see the difference here, right? They want the guy who's first a winner, the guy who's been on self-improvement, he's been going to the gym, he's the prize, right? He's like a really, really attractive, sexy guy. They want him to be nice to them. And you start, after like some time of digesting this, you start kind of relaxing and being like, you know what? I have no hatred whatsoever towards women or even the world anymore. I realize the lies that are spread about women, that we've been told that they're like the same as men. We've been told that we should be just overly nice, like as nice as possible to them to attract them. And I realize now that this was just the feminine imperative lies. And you know what? It's okay, because even though it hurts, now I know the truth. And then you can start to smile and see women for what they are, not for what you've been told they are. And this is where you start getting to this beautiful balance where you genuinely really start to like love women. I really don't want you to get stuck in either sides of this. I don't want you to be a nice guy anymore because you've experienced that and you know what it's like. You just get used by girls, you get ignored by them, they just don't care, and you're putting in so much effort and it destroys your self-esteem when you've poured your heart out to yet another girl who doesn't even deserve it. And I also don't want you to go into like full complete asshole mode that just kind of makes you so sort of distasteful to be around for guys and for girls, and you only attract like completely broken girls who are kind of attracted to that because their father was like abusive to them or something. I want you to get to the healthy middle where you can be a nice, kind person, but you're also not a pushover. You're just authentic. You're just honest. There's some things you like about people. There's some things you dislike about them. And it creates this beautiful balance where you just become like a really honest human being. What does it look like when you're here in the middle? Sometimes you'll treat girls very similarly to how you treat guys. Like for example, if a guy that you barely knew said a joke that wasn't funny, you wouldn't really give him a fake laugh. If a girl that you barely know, or even that you do know, tells a joke that's not funny, you shouldn't give them a fake laugh. And the same with if you feel like a bit of disrespect from someone, if someone makes like a bit of a disrespectful joke towards you, you know, there's sometimes where it's like, it's a bit of an insulting joke, but it's also kind of funny, and you can tell the person genuinely doesn't mean to insult you, it's just, you know, we roast each other as guys, that's okay. But sometimes like someone will actually be trying to put you down. You can tell like there's a bit of like sort of bullying in their nature. When that happens, if a guy did that, you'd think like that guy's your enemy and you wouldn't laugh. You'd kind of like just look at him a little bit, you know, like kind of intimidate him back because he's trying to shit talk you. When a girl does something like that and she calls you whatever, and you know, she can tell like she's not just doing it in the flirty way, but rather in an actual like abusive way. You could probably remember like some girls in school, like there was a group of girls and one of them would always be like a bit mean. You shouldn't give them a fake laugh and like laugh at the joke that they're making about yourself. You should look at her and say like, excuse me, don't be rude. The same way that you'd say to a guy, if a guy was like trying to make condescending jokes about you, you'd say like, hey, don't say that. Because then that makes the situation really awkward and most people kind of back down because they're used to just being able to walk over people. If you were here in the middle and you meet a new girl and she's mid, let's say, she's like a 5 out of 10. And also you can tell her she's like a Jessica, she's literally scrolling, she's like a bit of an alcoholic or something. Then you'd give her the same respect that you would for a guy who is exactly like that, which is basically zero fucking respect. And that's actually actually what these people deserve from you. No one like deserves your respect automatically. Like that question of like, do you respect women is so fucking retarded, because it's like, what woman are we talking about? It's like saying like, do you respect men? Who? Which fucking, I don't respect fucking 3 billion fucking people. Like, what the fuck? Like, just without knowing them, you fucking retard. I need to see which fucking guy you're talking about. And if there's a guy in front of me who just scrolls and he's an alcoholic, then I've got no fucking respect for him. And look, if there's a girl in front of me who scrolls and is an alcoholic, then I've got no fucking respect for her as well. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, that you're an asshole. It just means that you're a fucking honest person. And this is such an interesting transition, because you'll start to realize how much of a pedestal you've put some girls who are literally, bro, they ain't shit. There's some girls you know that you've been like really hyping up in your mind, and you've been treating them with such like nicety, and you've been asking them how are you every single day, asking about their date, thinking, you know, you've got to be nice to them. And you'll realize like, hang on, they're not even like good people. They're not even like good conversational partners. They're not even like good to speak to. Every time you speak to them, you just get kind of bored, but you're just doing it just because you thought you should be like speaking to this girl. Think about the girl that came up to mind. Maybe it's someone you're speaking to now or someone from the past. You should have like this bored boy kind of energy where she's boring you and you just think, okay, I'm a little bit bored, and you walk away or you stop texting her back. Most importantly, you need permission for this. If you had a strong masculine father, you would have not needed this video. You would have seen how your father interacted with your mother, where sometimes he was so loving and he was laughing at her jokes and stuff, but other times he was just being honest. And maybe sometimes, you know, she's a little bit rude and he calls her out on that and says, hey, that was disrespectful, and they have a conversation about it. If you had like a masculine role model or masculine father, I don't think you would have been a nice guy. I think chances are you've either had a pussy for a father, or you haven't had much of a father at all because he's not in the home. And then you've had surrogate fathers, like fake fathers, like the men you see in movies and TV shows, and like the weirdly like feminine men who work in like primary schools and high schools. You've had basically no male role models. That's why I take my work, what I do here, so seriously. I make so many mistakes on this path. You couldn't even imagine how hard it is to have like such a big platform, the chance of hundreds of thousands of people listening to what you say. I take this stuff very seriously because I understand that there's a lot of guys who are younger than me who look to me for some advice and for some guidance. And bro, like I'm not perfect. I fuck up all the time, but I'm so happy and so proud of like how much of an impact that I've had so far. And what I see time and time again is it's usually the guys who their fathers maybe haven't been in the home, or their fathers haven't been as strong as they should have been, who really gravitate towards the kind of content I make. To be fair, I meet a lot of guys who've got great fathers. I even meet their fathers as well. We've done like hikes with the guys who follow me, like my followers, and then their fathers and everything. So it's a pretty balanced mix, but fuck man, I feel a little bit emotional. I know for a fact I'm like a big brother figure to a lot of guys who watch this. And I hope you know I don't take that lightly. I know for a fact this type of work that I'm doing, I know that it like changes lives. Sometimes these videos feel a bit silly, you know, we've got like the cartoons and music and whatever, but I know for a fact there's a few guys alive because of the work that I've been doing. So I take this shit very seriously, and thank you for supporting me to do this work. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.